What if I told you that for most of your life, the key to living longer is pretty much what you'd expect? Your diet, how much you move, your daily habits? But what if I also told you that once you get past 80, the game changes? Suddenly, your genetics seem to play a much bigger role in your chances of reaching 100. For a lot of us, that can sound like a genetic lottery. You either have the winning ticket or you don't. It feels like you're just a passenger, waiting to see where your DNA takes you. But what if that's not the whole story? Groundbreaking research is showing us that we have more influence than we ever thought. It turns out the secret isn't just having the right genes, it's knowing how to work with them. Today, we're exploring the fascinating science of our longevity genes and uncovering the practical, real-world strategies that can help you live a longer and, more importantly, a healthier life. For many people, turning 80 can feel like walking towards a cliff's edge. The risk of age-related diseases just feels bigger. We're talking about the heavy hitters: heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and the one that worries so many families, dementia and Alzheimer's. These aren't just statistics, they represent a potential loss of the energy, freedom, and quality of life we've worked so hard to build. Cardiovascular diseases, for example, are a leading cause of death in older adults. It can feel like an unavoidable threat, creating this cloud of anxiety around getting older. We see it in our communities, maybe even in our own families. There's this idea that our bodies come with an expiration date, and after 80, we're just running out the clock, waiting for something to go wrong. This fear, this feeling of being powerless, is the problem we've all been taught to accept. But this is where the story gets interesting. This brings us to a common myth, the idea that our fate is sealed by our DNA. You hear it all the time. Oh, long life runs in my family, or the opposite. My parents didn't live long, so my chances aren't great. This belief extends beyond just lifespan, coloring our perception of our risk for everything from heart disease to cognitive decline. It becomes a convenient explanation for our health, suggesting we're simply playing the hand we were dealt at birth. This belief in genetic destiny gets even stronger when we talk about living to an extreme old age. The thinking goes that to make it past 90 or 100, you must have been born with a royal flush of good genes. It's easy to see why this idea is compelling. When we look at centenarians, they seem almost superhuman, and researchers have even identified specific longevity genes that seem to bolster the case for genetic predestination. And to be fair, there's a reason this myth is so convincing. Scientists estimate that genetics account for about 20 to 30% of the variation in our lifespan. But let's focus on the flip side of that coin. A staggering 70 to 80% of our longevity is shaped by other factors that are, crucially, largely within our control. That genetic influence does seem to grow as we get older, but this doesn't mean genes are a guaranteed ticket. It simply suggests a certain genetic makeup may offer more resilience against the wear and tear of a long life. So it's easy to look at that and think, well, it's a lottery. I'm just a spectator in my own life story. This is the myth of the genetic life sentence. It's a story that can leave us feeling like our daily efforts, eating well, staying active, are pointless against the unchangeable code in our cells. It fosters a sense of fatalism, where we feel our health trajectory was set in stone the moment we were conceived. But that's a huge misreading of what the science is actually telling us. The emerging research paints a much more hopeful and dynamic picture. It tells us that our genes are not our destiny. They are more like a blueprint, and our lifestyle choices are the architects who decide what ultimately gets constructed. The story of our health isn't written in ink. It's written in pencil, and we are holding the eraser. For decades, we've been told a simple, somewhat grim story. Your genes are your destiny, a fixed blueprint handed down at birth. But what if that story is wrong? Here's the revelation that changes everything. While your genetics are an important player, they aren't a dictator. Think of it more like a lifelong negotiation. Your genes make an opening offer, but your lifestyle, what you eat, how you move, how you sleep, gets a seat at the table with a surprisingly powerful voice. Every choice you make is a counter-offer, shaping the final outcome of your health span. To see this in action, look no further than the world's longest-lived people. Fascinating research from studies on centenarians shows that people who live to be 100 often carry plenty of the same disease-associated gene variants as the general population. Let that sink in. They have the genetic predispositions for heart disease, Alzheimer's, and cancer, yet they live vibrant, healthy lives. They don't just live longer, they live for longer, demonstrating a concept called morbidity compression. squeezing the period of illness into the very end of a long life. They don't just defy the odds, they rewrite the rules. So how is that possible? It seems they also have another set of genes, longevity-associated variants, that act as a powerful defense system, helping to counteract the risky ones. You can think of them as resilience genes. These aren't magic bullets. Instead, they're like an elite in-house maintenance crew for your body. They're better at patching up DNA damage, calming inflammation, and clearing out cellular debris before it causes problems. They don't give you a free pass, but they give your body a much better fighting chance to maintain its integrity over a century. Science has started to identify the star players on this genetic team. Two of the most studied are the genes APO and FOXO3A. Let's start with APO. This gene provides instructions for making a protein that transports fats like cholesterol. It's crucial for both heart health and brain function. There are several versions or alleles. The APOE2 allele is considered protective, linked to a lower risk of Alzheimer's. But the E4 allele is associated with a higher risk for both Alzheimer's and heart disease. Now, it's critical to know that having the E4 allele doesn't seal your fate. It just shifts the odds. It's a risk factor, not a diagnosis. Then there's FOXO3A, often called a master regulator of longevity. This gene is a cornerstone of our cellular stress response. When faced with challenges like oxidative damage, certain variants of FOXO3A spring into action. They orchestrate a symphony of protective measures, boosting DNA repair and triggering a process called autophagy, where cells clean out their own damaged parts. It's essentially a built-in program for rejuvenation, helping your body stay younger at a cellular level. It's no surprise these beneficial FOXO3A variants are found far more frequently in people who live exceptionally long lives. But here's the most empowering part. These genes aren't simple on-off switches. Their activity level, whether they're active or quiet, can be profoundly influenced by your lifestyle. This is the revolutionary field of epigenetics. Your genes are the blueprint, but your daily habits are the contractor deciding which parts of that blueprint get built. Epigenetic marks like chemical tags are placed on your DNA based on your environment and behaviors. A diet rich in leafy greens can place a silence marker on a pro-inflammatory gene. A consistent sleep schedule can help optimize the expression of FOXO3A. This means you don't have to be a passive observer of your genetic story. Every healthy meal, every good night's sleep, every workout is you, picking up the pen and editing your own story. You are the co-author. So, if our genes are not our definitive destiny, how do we actually influence them? How do we become the conductor of our own genetic orchestra, encouraging protective genes to play their symphony while quieting others? This is the power of epigenetics in action. It's not about changing our DNA sequence, but about changing how our genes are expressed. The answer lies not in a single magic pill, but in a handful of practical, science-backed habits that create an internal environment where our best genes can truly thrive. First, eat to cool inflammation. Think of chronic, low-grade inflammation as a slow-burning fire inside your body, accelerating aging. The most powerful fire extinguisher we have is our food. The diets in places known for longevity, like Okinawa and Sardinia, are generally plant-forward, rich in a rainbow of vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, and low in processed foods. These foods are packed with compounds like polyphenols and antioxidants, which act like molecular peacekeepers, neutralizing the free radicals that fuel inflammation. Think dark leafy greens, berries, and spices like turmeric. Healthy fats like omega-3s are also crucial. This way of eating also nurtures a healthy gut microbiome, the community of bacteria in your gut that helps regulate your immune system. For those with higher risk genes like ApoE4, a healthy diet can be especially powerful in mitigating that genetic risk. It's not about perfection, but about building a foundation of consistency. Long-term studies show that consistently following these healthy dietary patterns is one of the strongest predictors of a long, healthy life. Second, make gentle movement a part of your day. For longevity, the real magic lies in what scientists call NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis, all the movement we do throughout the day that isn't formal exercise. The world's oldest people are masters of NEAT. They don't pound the pavement. They build constant natural movement into their daily lives by walking, gardening, and doing chores by hand. This isn't about burning maximum calories. It's about consistently sending signals to your body that you are active. On a cellular level, this gentle activity improves mitochondrial function, powering your cells, and stimulates autophagy, your body's cellular cleanup process. It's fantastic for heart health, blood sugar, and stress. So think less about grueling workouts and more about weaving movement into the fabric of your day. Take the stairs, have a walking meeting, or stretch every hour. It all adds up to a powerful message for your genes. Third, build and nurture your connections. This might be the most powerful yet underrated health strategy. We are fundamentally social creatures. A landmark analysis found that people with strong social ties had a 50% increased likelihood of survival. The health risk of chronic loneliness is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. How does a good conversation translate into biology? When we feel safe and connected, our brains release hormones like oxytocin. This actively counters the stress hormone cortisol, which in turn lowers blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and strengthens our immune system. Loneliness creates a state of chronic, low-grade threat that wears down our bodies. It's important to note this is about the quality of our relationships, not the quantity. A few deep, trusting connections are far more protective than many superficial ones. Nurturing these bonds provides a powerful biological buffer against life's stresses. Fourth, get serious about your sleep schedule. Sleep is not passive rest, it's an active period of critical maintenance for your brain and body. While you sleep, the glymphatic system acts like the brain's cleaning crew, flushing out metabolic waste, including beta-amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's. This process is most active during deep sleep. But it's not just about how many hours you sleep, it's about you sleep. Your body runs on a 24-hour internal clock, your circadian rhythm. When that rhythm is constantly disrupted by irregular bedtimes or late-night screen use, it's like throwing your system into perpetual jet lag, which is linked to a host of health risks. The most powerful way to support this rhythm is with consistency. Aim to go to bed and wake up around the same time each day, even on weekends. This simple act anchors your internal clock, ensuring vital repair processes happen on schedule. Fifth, have a reason to get up in the morning. In Okinawa, Japan, they have ikigai, which translates to a reason for being. This is the profound idea that having a sense of purpose is a cornerstone of a long, fulfilling life. Research confirms this, showing that individuals with a strong sense of purpose are more resilient to stress, have better cognitive function, and lower levels of key inflammatory markers. This doesn't have to be a grand ambition. Your ikigai can be found in everyday things that give you joy and a sense of contribution. Tending a garden, mastering an instrument, volunteering, mentoring, or being deeply involved with your grandchildren. Purpose acts as a psychological shield. When faced with challenges, having a reason to persevere provides a powerful buffer against chronic stress. It gives you a reason to stay active, to keep learning, and to remain engaged with the world. These 5 pillars, a nourishing diet, constant movement, deep connections, restorative sleep, and a driving purpose, are not just nice ideas. They are powerful epigenetic modulators. Each one directly influences the core biological pathways that longevity genes like FOXO3A help regulate, managing inflammation, bolstering stress resistance, and optimizing cellular repair. Their true power lies in their synergy. A healthy diet gives you energy for movement. Social connection buffers stress, allowing for better sleep. A sense of purpose motivates you to maintain all these habits. They work together, creating a virtuous cycle that sends your DNA a clear message: thrive. You are the architect of this internal environment. By embracing these habits, you are helping to write a healthier, longer chapter in your own life story. So, what's the real secret to a long life, especially after 80? It's recognizing that your genes are your partner, not your puppet master. For the first several decades of life, lifestyle is in the driver's seat, building your foundation of health. After that, your genetics pull up a more prominent chair at the table, but they don't get the final word. The secret is knowing you have a voice in the conversation. Through an anti-inflammatory diet, daily movement, deep social connections, regular sleep, and a sense of purpose, you can actively influence your genetic expression. You can encourage your body's built-in resilience to work for you, helping you live not just longer, but better. You are not simply a product of your genes. You are a collaborator in your own health story. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and turn on notifications for more science-backed strategies for a long and healthy life. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these habits resonates with you the most? Thanks for watching.